Teddy Roosevelt 2019 is not monetized. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.
I present to you the massive Omnibus bill that Congress is voting on. Tomorrow the Senate will vote on this. 2,313 pages. Dropped on us the day before yesterday. Nobody's read it.
Mr. Speaker, this is the legislation that we received this morning. On principle, nobody in this House should vote for legislation which he doesn't understand, has not seen, and contains hundreds and hundreds of pages with many provisions that we know nothing about.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
You just heard Ted Cruz and Bernie Sanders both agree. No congressperson or senator should be asked to vote on a bill which they haven't fully read or understood. I would suggest that you all be
afraid. Be very afraid.
Christmas came early in Washington for lobbyists. Lobbyists who are bankrupting this country. While you were with your family, while you were shopping for Christmas, the lobbyists were spending and spending. And how much is it? Well, we know it's 2,313 pages, but those pages spend $1.4 trillion. You want to know how you bankrupt a country? You want to know how you get a $23 trillion national debt? You're looking at it. Deals cut in the dead of night. $1.4 trillion. You've probably never seen that while you're looking at it right there. 2,313 pages. Dropped on us the day before yesterday. Nobody's read it.
But, Mr. Chairman, we do know some of the aspects that we're going to be asked to vote on. We do know that in a time when millions of elderly people are unable to pay for their prescription drugs, when they're paying more and more for private insurance to cover what Medicare does not cover, we do know that we're going to be asked to cut Medicare by $115 billion, and that is wrong. And we also know that there are significant cuts in Social Security Administration and in veterans programs, and that is wrong. Mr. Speaker, in order to pay for the cuts in Medicare, in Social Security Administration, and in veterans programs, what the Congress is proposing is to provide huge tax breaks for the wealthiest people in this country, precisely the people who do not need them. The wealthiest 5% of Americans will receive almost half of the tax cuts. The upper 20% will receive over 70% of the benefits. And the upper 1%, when this plan is full-blown, the upper 1% will receive more benefits from this package than the bottom 80%. Under this plan, the average tax cut for middle-income families and individuals will be less than $200. The wealthiest 1%, however, will receive over $16,000 in tax breaks.
And after a 30-year career in capitalism, spanning 36 companies, generating tens of billions of dollars in market value, I'm not just in the top 1%, I'm in the top 0.01% of all earners. And today, I have come to share the secrets of our success, because rich capitalists like me have never been richer. So the question is, how do we do it? How do we manage to grab an ever-increasing share of the economic pie every year? Over the last 30 years, in the USA alone, the top 1% has grown $21 trillion richer, while the bottom 50% have grown $900 billion poorer, a pattern of widening inequality that has largely repeated itself across the world.
As the New York Times said today in an editorial, and I quote, "But even after last-minute horse trading around the edges, the deal remains unfairly tilted in favor of the better-off citizens of society. It drills scores of new loopholes into the tax code, mostly for the benefit of very wealthy families, at the cost of opening up large deficits early next century, conveniently beyond the 10-year period that the deal tracks. End of quote. In other words, what is going to happen is 10 years from now, when we have all of these loopholes for the wealthy and for large corporations, we're going to be back here again with another huge deficit, and you're going to have people here saying we've got to cut more into Medicare, more into Social Security, more into veterans programs, more into housing. So my friends, before we pass a budget like this, first of all, have the courage to look at it.
This is why Washington's corrupt. This is an example of government of the lobbyist, by the lobbyist, and for the lobbyists. But it was put together in the dark of the night with Republican leadership and Chuck Schumer cutting a deal. So in this 2,313 pages, what is in it? Well, we don't know everything. But here's one thing. It extends the XM Bank, one of the greatest corporate boondoggles, corporate welfare. The lobbyists love it. For 7 years, the XM Bank is extended with no vote on it. Number two, buried in here, it raises the tobacco purchasing age to 21. So now, our soldiers at age 18, you can be drafted to go into war. You can be sent to the front lines. You can face machine gun fire. But God help you if you want to have a smoke. Did we have a vote on that? Did we have a debate on that? Did someone say, maybe the states could set the tobacco age? Maybe it doesn't have to be the federal government. Nope. No vote. Just a deal in a smoke-filled room forcing that result. And how much is it? Well, we know it's 2,313 pages, but those pages spend $1.4 trillion. You want to know how you bankrupt a country? You want to know how you get a $23 trillion national debt? You're looking at it. Deals cut in the dead of night. $1.4 trillion. You've probably never seen that while you're looking at it right there. What doesn't it do? Well, fails to end Obamacare. Doesn't even try. Not part of it at all. Takes care of the insurance companies. Takes care of the lobbyists. But for the millions of people who are struggling to meet their health insurance costs, no help at all. This is why Washington's corrupt. This is an example of government of the lobbyist, by the lobbyist, and for the lobbyists.
Anybody here know how much Amazon paid in taxes last year? Here you have a corporation that made over $10 billion in profits, owned by the wealthiest guy in the world, and they paid zero in taxes. We will no longer accept the absurd situation where large corporations like Amazon, Netflix, and General Motors pay nothing in federal income tax.
So today, many large corporations like Amazon pay no income tax. Meanwhile, members of the House and Senate vote on bills before they've had a chance to read them.
This is why Washington's corrupt.
Many Americans are probably unaware our economic and political system was much more efficient in the recent past and created an economy that benefited the vast majority of American workers. The graph above me in the text over here shows that from 1937 to 1973, average workers' wages nearly tripled, going from $7 an hour in 1937 to almost $21 an hour by 1973. So our economic system, our capitalist free market system, working with our government, created a very healthy, robust economy which showed vast wage and wealth growth for American workers. A lot's changed since 1973 or 1980. Neo-Liberalism, where we use government policies to favor the large corporations and the rich with the expectation this will raise prosperity for all. Nick Hanauer is going to explain why neoliberalism is a bad idea in the next few clips and how to fix it.
But in the neoliberal era today, they work only for big corporations and billionaires. And that is creating a little bit of a problem.